All right, welcome to This Week in Web Series. This is episode 13. I have two great guests today. I've got Christian Viel of Heroes of the North, and I've got Chris Greenaway of VenusSpa and the new Leisure Suit Larry spoof. But this is Christian's first time on the show, so welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Happy to be there.
Yeah, and you've been extremely busy. I've been following you on Facebook. Can you tell everyone what you've been up to?
Yes, we're currently we're about to release our second omnibus comic book in September in comic book stores all over North America, and this is pretty much done. We're preparing the third comic book, which is come out in November, and we have a few books left to finish. We're also finishing off the last episode of season 1 of Heroes of the North and the last comic book that goes with it, because the conclusion of the series will be in the comic book. So we're almost done with those as well, and then we're getting ready to shoot season 2 in a couple of weeks. And it's going to be like a Vietnam War setup, so it's pretty time-consuming and intricate. I'm also in preparation this week for the Montreal Comic Con, which is a pretty big event, about 20,000 people this weekend.
Wow.
This year we have a lot of guests. We have the people who usually follow us around the convention, like 8-Ball and Hornet, but we also have Black Terror, Acadia, like a bunch of our actors will be there to sign stuff, and because it's a little cold, so it's easier to have all these people, and so that's a lot of organization. And I'm also shooting a feature film, an action film in October with Fred Williamson, so it's going to be it's a bit crazy and hectic right now.
You got the hammer?
Yes.
You ready?
I did last week, yeah, it'll be fun. And I'm trying to convince him to at least spend a day to shoot a little cameo in our series for season 2.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's really fun to talk to so far, so I can't wait to work with him.
Excellent. He's a living legend, and so it's awesome that you got him.
Yeah, I'm very happy too. Like I love his work, so it'll be fun.
Cool. Now I know episode 20 is going to be the finale. Is that correct?
Well, it's the finale, and yes and no. I mean, it sets up events that will be resolved in the comic book.
Oh.
And then they both going to be released at the same time. So if you watch the episode, you'll be able to have the complete story in one sitting. But okay. Because we already, like, originally when we started the show way back when, we always wanted to do the storyline in the comic books. Whatever we couldn't shoot or we didn't have the resource to do, we were going to do in the comic books. It kind of changed as times passed, but this was part of the original plan. And it's because the ending is set in North Korea and stuff, there was no way we could shoot that here. So we made it in comic book format, yeah.
That's an interesting idea, just because, budgets on a web series, are, low. It's just to be able to, indulge the story, with art form. It's interesting. Well, and I've always thought that was interesting with your transmedia, the way that you tell your story.
Yeah, well, we thought that the thing is like, why, if you do a story and you're limited because of your means, I thought, like it was frustrating in a way. So whatever we were pretty ambitious anyway, trying to do like big stuff, even though we don't have that much money, but whatever we know we can get away with in any way, shape, or form, we decided to do it in the drawing form. And I think it worked well so far. I mean, people seem to enjoy that structure so far, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for us, it's a lot of fun. It's a totally new medium too, and it allows us as well to make other source of revenues for the show, because the comics have been doing very, very well for us. So.
And those are sold at stores, like local stores, or are they?
Since we got a deal with Diamond Comics and True Art and Entertainment, which is an American publisher, they're sold in comic book stores everywhere across North America and in England as well, I think.
Oh wow! Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And then with that distribution, then we have a big numbers, and we're able to actually make our money back, and actually make a little profit on the comics. And we also sell them at conventions as well.
Okay. Now that probably helps the web series numbers as well, because they find the comic and then they go online and watch the show.
And vice versa, exactly.
Well done.
Everything's connected. Everything is connected and works. Everything feeds each other too, so it's good in that sense.
Oh, cool.
Now, I got a question in regards to the series. You had mentioned episode 20 is the finale. Is that the season finale or series finale?
Season finale.
Okay.
Season finale. Yeah, we're about to shoot season 2. We'll do less episodes for season 2, but they'll be longer because when we started originally, we had read everywhere that you should be like 3 minutes long. People will have no attention span, blah blah blah. So we made short episodes. And then everybody started complaining it's too short. So
Yeah.
we tried to expand, but some stuff was already shot, so it was difficult.
Well, in your case, that's a good case study for those that aren't familiar with the evolution of the space. Is a lot of times like when you're doing a series, you should start short and then let your audience tell you what they want, and then give them what they want. And if they want more, then you give them more. If they want less, then you probably have to give them a little less. So yeah, it's no biggie if the episode started short because over time it depends on whether the audience wants more.
Exactly. No, I agree with that. But we were quite surprised because almost everything I've read was like, oh no, don't make it too long. People have no attention span. They don't have time. They want bite-sized stuff. And for listening to some of our fans, we should make feature-length episodes almost every week if we could. So, I think we found a happy balance with around 10 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And again, it's I think when you start short, it's always just give someone a taste.
Yeah.
And then they'll tell you what they want, and that's where you're at now, and which is good. Question in regards to the comic book: have you ever considered putting out a sample online, like an online comic of like 4 or 5 pages, to show people the what it's all about for those that aren't familiar with it, or it's not available in their area?
Most of the comics, I mean, the comics we publish, there are some stories that are exclusive to the published comics, but most of the big stories are available already online.
Okay.
So most of our stories, like there's a section called comics on the website, and you can go there and check it out, like the full story completely. Like there's no limitation, whatever, so people can read it online, no problem. And when we originally started, for a while we gave for a limited time we gave the first comic to download. And then we crashed our server in 2 days, and it blew our bandwidth, so we stopped doing that. And now we offer it for like $1. If people want to download a specific comic, you can download it off the store for $1.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now that's on the website or someone else's site, or where do you?
It's on our website. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So you mentioned the where they can get from the publisher? You have the link to the publisher site as well on your site? Or?
We have a page where we mention all the publisher stuff, but the any comic book store, like if you read comics, you go to any comic book store, they have it in stock. You normally, or they can order it straight from the Diamond Comics. The way it works in comics, you have different publishers, but everybody is distributed through one company, which is Diamond. And usually what it works, like you solicit a few months before, they put it in a catalog, and then all the companies, the comic book stores order whatever they want from each publishers. And that's how the publisher informs us how many copies he needs, we print them, and then we ship it to them, and then it gets distributed to all the stores.
Okay.
Chris, are we going to see a VenusSpa comic? Is that where you're...
I have dabbled in it a lot of times. The third season of Venus featured comic book transitions.
That's right.
As a big part of it. We used comic book frames a lot as our advertising photos. I've been wanting to figure out what to do with it over time, and I might not. It's all up, it's... I don't know what to say about it. It's really something that I've always liked the idea, but I've never really been able to come up with anything good for it. So it's kind of like that.
What about you, Travis? It would work for your show really well, actually.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I'm a huge comic book fan as it is.
Okay.
So yeah, no, it could be something I could look into. I'd be it's a great idea.
Because your fantasy and stuff, it's something that translates well to comics, and you also have comedy elements and all that stuff. I think it could work really, really nicely for you.
Yeah, no,
and there is an easy way to do it for those that are new to editing and graphics. There's various comic book apps you can get through Apple or at the Apple Store or just other places online. I use a couple myself. mixed with some photoshopping, or very primitive photoshopping, to do the ones that I made. So it is definitely something that can be done and done quickly. Like you can turn still images into pastel drawings.
Yeah.
You know, all like black and whites. There's a high school yearbook one from so you have like 70s dot matrix, black and white. So it's definitely fun to experiment with. Even if you don't even make something, they're great because it's just fun to see what you can do with your images. Because it's like kaleidoscopes and stuff. It's actually a lot of fun.
Yeah. Now, so episode 20 is going to come out when, Christian?
In about a week from now, right after the Comic-Con.
Oh, okay. I watched episode 19. That girl got beat up pretty bad there at the end with that baseball bat. Her face looked like hell. But that was a good fight scene though. That was well done.
Yeah, so what?
She's got some bitchin' elbows.
She's pretty good. She's pretty good. Like usually we stage our set or fights on the day because we don't have the time to rehearse them or whatever. But we break them in pieces. So we rehearse just a little bit from one point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
Then we shoot that. Once we're happy, we shoot B to C, and then that's how it goes, and that's how we can break it down, and it makes it also easier to edit at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did you guys get a chance to watch Derek, the web series?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the British series we were watching. Is it British?
Yeah. He's one of our
It's something British.
He's one of our subscribers on our web series chat YouTube channel. So I sent these guys a link, and I asked them what's the good points of the show and what's something they could work on in the show. We'll start with you, Chris, first.
I like the humor in it. The only thing I really because when you're watching it in a vacuum like that, it's really hard to tell whether what they have in the sequence is intentional or not. So the only thing I would really criticize based on just seeing that episode in a vacuum without anything prior is just the lighting. Aside from that, I thought everything else was fine. It looked like it was accomplished. It looked like it was trying to be a little bit of a parody mixed with really, really low budget. And it looked like a lot of it was intentional. And so that's the only thing I can critique based on that.
So, Chris, by vacuum, you just mean just by watching one episode and not the whole...
If you're watching it starting cold, you've never seen it before, you're watching that video, and that's the first time you see it, that's watching it in a vacuum.
Right. And basically, Derek's a superhero comedy, lot of verbal comedy dialogue. Now, Christian, what do you think of the show?
Well, I agree with Chris that if you just watch it like that, it's a bit hard to quite understand what's going on. But they do try to help it at the beginning with the intro, which I thought was really good. It gives you like a setup, at least a little bit of what's going on. The music was great. Lighting had issues. I had the same issues as Chris, but also I thought the sound could have been much better. I mean, especially since there's not a lot of movement, there's not really an excuse to have that. The sound was difficult for me to hear at the time. It sounds really boxy, like it's recording on a phone or something. So I'm like, it's not. You should make an effort at least to get a better sound, because for me it takes me out of the experience, and sometimes it was hard to hear what they were saying because of that. Also with the accent and stuff, but. They would have held their case if they had a better sound. But overall, yeah, there was funny jokes, and it was, I think you can see where they're going with it, and I think it's something I'll keep an eye on.
Yeah, it
sounded like they didn't actually have a microphone. It sounded like it was just the raw camera microphone. I know that because the first season or two of VenusSpa, we had the same thing. We didn't actually have a microphone, and a lot of the sound was the same as what they have here.
I think, for me, sound is like 50% of a show. I think you need to put, people should put more effort into it. Everybody's worried about the image or the picture quality or whatever, but I find a lot of times, indie producers, they don't put enough time and effort also in the sound. For me, it's very important, almost as important as the image itself. So.
Right, yeah. If you can't hear it, you're not going to watch. It's important. I thought the writing was really good. it was very dry the way they delivered it as well. Sort of, so it was interesting.
The humor was good though.
What's that?
I actually enjoyed the humor.
Yeah, I did too. I always was cracking up with that guy in the white. He just has a funny voice.
Yeah.
Every time that guy talked, I was laughing. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It's got like a Monty Python-esque type of, I guess, humor to the show. But I think you guys are right. Yeah, better lighting. Just get some, one nice mic, and it could really help the show. But no, good for them. I think the YouTube user is Pazzo181. So I'll put a link below the video to it. So I hope our viewers go and watch the show and critique the show in the comments. That'd be great.
And if you want us to do a critique or a sit down and go over your show, subscribe to us, get our attention, and let us know that you'd like us to do so, and we'll check it out for you. And and help post in the comments, and and we'll see you right away, and we can chat then, and we can keep going and see what other shows we can come up with.
Now, Christian, last episode we discussed awards, web series awards, and we had a chance to talk a bit about it. Can you tell sort of your angle on awards and web series?
Well, my experience with awards usually comes from movies themselves. Like, I never really participated in any awards for web series, but when I was doing films and indie films, you get selected to a festival, you win an award. I never went to any festival where they charge you for your movie, because I believe they need movies for their audience, and they charge people for the movie. So I don't see why I would give my movie for free. Not only I'm giving my movie for free for them to put butts in seats, but I'm not going to pay for it on top of it. So I refuse to participate in any paying awards or festivals or stuff like that on principle, because we suffer enough and we pay enough to make the movie in the first place. I'm not going to give it away to people who charge for it. And so I never participate in any awards where they charge money for or stuff like that, because for me, I think, But I've heard, I was in Toronto last week and I spoke to a lot of Toronto producers, and some of them had participated to some awards, web series award, and some of them actually got to the nomination stage, and also other people were wondering if they should participate this year and stuff, and the consensus seemed to be like it's not worth it. We participated once. One of us in Quebec, we participated once because one of us submitted us to a paid award. And of course, who won? People like web series from CBC. Like it always works like that. Like, and CBC was the sponsor of the award.
Yeah. Sounds like every network that's ever hosted an award show here, be it the Genies, the Junos, or especially the Geminis, whoever the parent is, tends to sweep a lot.
Exactly. And then those awards are called the New Mix. There was a whole section just for web series. And then only people from CBC or from major networks, even though their web series had no views in some cases and stuff, like they just were barely made, they all won. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell, but I don't see the value in that, because if you're paying to be selected, of course they're going to give you something because you paid for it. And they feel that, I don't see the value in that. I don't even understand why it's not like just based out of curation. You find the best series that people talk about, then you nominate them. A bit like what the girls at Indie Entertube do. I mean, they nominate the shows, they do their research, they do something like I find those awards are more value because at least they're curated. Somebody took the time to watch the shows, and then have their own point of view on it. That's fine. They're judging it. But at the same time, at least they make the effort. It's not somebody who just gave you money to, okay, I have no choice, but I can't ignore you because you paid me. I find that kind of awkward.
Yeah, and those are free, are they not? The Intertube Awards?
Yes, they're free, yeah.
Yeah, no. But,
so, ultimately, my take on these kind of things, as I've mentioned a few times, is always the same. It's not as much as the paying, it's the what do you get even if you win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like do I get a paperweight, or that and $250 will get you on a subway in New York. I mean, I've never seen a web series or creator get funding exclusively because they won an award. If that's the case, then why didn't Crackle become a major player after Bannon swept everything at the 2010 Streamies. It didn't happen. Why? Because those awards ended up not meaning anything. And until awards really start bringing a legitimate level of prestige the way Cannes does, like you win the Palme d'Or, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
The whole entertainment world goes down to Cannes to see that show and to see that event. And if you win, people are lining up to distribute your movie. You know, people are lining, and actors are lining up to be in your next one. You know, that's a big deal. We don't have that web space right now. So really, when it comes right down to it, is it worth it? It's not even just the money. It's also the aggravation of having to schmooze people and campaign to. That's, you know, you start feeling cheap after a while when doing that.
Yeah.
And you know, well, that's, you know, another award show that we've completely glossed over is the Indie Soap Awards, because they're free too.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know about that one, but yeah. But the thing is also, go ahead.
They're based in New York at welovesoaps.net is their parent website, and every I believe it's like every February or something like that is when they have the show, and they've had 3 in a row now. This coming year will be the 4th. And they haven't, I don't believe they've ever streamed it live, but it's been going every year. It's free, and it seems like it's been a good time every time it's happened. So,
Cool.
So that's,
But
that's a good.
I agree with you, though. It doesn't, at this point, we kind of put the horse before the cart in the sense that there's not even really an industry to speak of. So you can win all the awards you want. I agree with you, Chris. It's not going to change your life or anything at all. I mean, it's a nice recognition that if you win something, that somebody recognizes your work or whatever. But beyond the ego trip, I don't see what else it does. In our case, we won a few awards, so we would gladly put it on our show, like as award winning. But beyond that, I don't think it influences anybody to watch it more, or it doesn't influence anybody else to buy or distribute it better or more or less. You know, so. I don't see.
You can, on your website, you can trump the brands you've partnered, and it would probably be more prestigious than any award or official selection that any of us have received to date, because that tells industry people, and not only that, but other brands, you know, these people trust these guys, and
exactly,
and their relationship is good. So maybe that may influence people more to consider doing business with you. But that seems to me is more of a prestige thing in our industry, or lack thereof, today than a trophy.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, totally right.
I agree. I think we should put more energy. Like, that's the first thing that struck me as odd when they started, like IEW TV and the Streamies and all these guys. Everybody was so concerned about making an awards show in the beginning, a few years ago, instead of trying to find out a business model that works for everybody,
right?
Or having a distribution system that's coherent and actually brings revenue. Like, without an industry, what's the point of making parties and having awards? I mean, until everything is solid on a solid basis, for me, I think it's a waste of time and money.
Pretty much.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Yeah, there should be more focus on the actual making of money so that your show can be sustainable. So yeah, Christian, you're doing some really neat stuff with your merchandising, and I don't think a lot of other shows.
A show other than the Guild that does all the stuff that you do, and you know, for the benefit of those who aren't familiar with how things work and how these things are done, how do you go about making that happen, and how do you go about putting concept to practice when it comes to offshoots of your project?
Well, the merchandising aspect of it was we implemented from the start at the beginning, at the conceptualization of the show, because we thought long and hard about how we're going to make that thing bring some revenue, at least break even. And we look at what was being the payoff on like even when we had distribution with advertising and stuff, and the payout is so low that it doesn't even make sense to shoot anything. So the decision was made that we would use the show as more as a loss leader, in a sense, like it's a big expensive advertising in a sense. You build your audience based on that, and then after that you try to make it cool enough that people will want to buy stuff that comes with it. And for us, that was always the plan. And then we chose comic books and superheroes because, for two reasons. The first thing, it's very popular right now, so we benefit indirectly from all the marketing of the big studios are doing for Avengers and Batman and all that stuff. So if somebody wants to see more superhero stuff and falls on a web series, or may not be their bag, but overall there's a chance that if they like superheroes, they may like what we do. And also, everything that comes with it it's already heavily merchandised superheroes, like, toys and stuff, so we decided to follow that route. And do quality product as much as we can on a reasonable budget. And we did all the research. We researched it before we even started shooting the first frame. We had a good idea who we talked to for figurines. So basically when we inquired around the US, Canada for like toy designers and stuff, we found out it was about $20,000 just to design one toy, and it was not including production costs or even sculpting it yet. So we decided to do design in-house and find by ourselves a sculptor and a producer of the toys. So we ended up hooking up with this company in Japan, because that's the wonder of the internet. You look on the internet, if you look long enough, you'll eventually find what you're looking for. So we found a toy designer sculptor in Japan, and then they do their production out of Hong Kong in China. So basically for $20,000 now we were able to get almost like 15 figurines in total, plus the production of those figurines, 1,000 each. So it was much more profitable that way for us, and it turned out to be a good move because a lot of people, it did two things. First of all, collectors and stuff, buying the figurines if they like the show, but also it gave us a credibility that we wouldn't have got otherwise, because not every show can make their own action figures or their own figurines. So it didn't cost us that much to buy that credibility, and it automatically, in the eyes of like the press or other people, it gave us this added veneer of, okay, these guys mean business, and they're a bigger show than we are in fact. Right. So in a sense, it was also a marketing move, but it also turned out to be a very good move because it generates a lot of our revenue. We sold out of already 2 figurines, and then from the first 4 we made, and then we're waiting for like 5 new ones there. Nordic, 8 Ball, they're coming in a few weeks, and we're already sold out of those. And it basically paid for the show. And actually, the next batch, and then part of what we had, since we got those figurines through the same distribution channel as we do our comics, and we have a much wider audience. This allowed basically to pay for the season 2.
Oh, wow.
Which is what we needed and what we wanted for in the beginning. But because we planned it that way from the, it's still hard work, and it took us almost 2 years to get to a point where we're generating enough revenues to be able to finance the show based on the derivative products, the merchandising. But it's starting to work, and it's exactly what we wanted. We wanted to have the show self-sustained and be able to finance itself.
No, I love that. It's
so basically what it was essentially not unlike what the American cartoon business was like in the 80s. I've heard stories of Hasbro giving the He-Man cartoon to NBC for free. Yep. Because of the level of advertising for Masters of the Universe, like the Grayskull play set and all the figures.
Well, exactly, it makes sense, because that way you, as I said, it's like a loss leader in a sense. You do the show, it costs you money, but it becomes the central point of attraction. It's a big marketing campaign in a sense, and everything else you build around it becomes what drives people to buy the products. And then the products, it's kind of a big wheel that turns around itself. And our plan was within 5 years to be not only self-sustained but profitable. Right now, it took us about 2 years to get to a point where we're almost break-even and we can finance the next series. And I think we'll reach our goal in 5 years. Like, we'll be not only self-sustained and profitable, but we'll be able to keep making shows and maybe even produce more shows.
Right.
For other people and stuff like that.
No, that's awesome, man. That's great.
Yeah.
That is, even in my case, I thought my stuff through and crafted mine that way. But you've done it. What you've done is on a whole other level. It's tremendous.
but I think anybody can do it. Like you just need to find. Like it's one thing. It's one of my pet peeves. Sorry, so I'll go. I'll get going on that. But a lot of people start the show and they just think, like, I'll make a show and everybody will come check it out. It's not true. You have to market it. You have to push it. But you also have to make it in such a way that you have to make a show that people will want to watch. Something that resonates with a big audience. Because if you don't have a huge audience, like or even a mid-range audience, you know, a really niche market, you're not going to make enough money to make for it to make sense unless you make a very, very simple show. But if you want to do something that's challenging a little bit, you need to have a fairly wide audience. I mean, comic book audience is not huge, but it's pretty big nevertheless. And especially in our case, it's kind of niche because it's also Canadian comic book. So, you know, in a way, because it's Canadian superheroes, but it's still wide enough of niche that enough people that can buy stuff.
It's also you mentioned the Canadian end of it. I know almost nothing about pop culture in Quebec compared to the rest of Canada. What's the environment like in terms of things like comic books and content and like because you have to really look you have to write things in the proper language to find anything that is in English on YouTube. And so, like, what's the scene like over there, and what's the level of competition compared to, let's say, English Canada, or outside of Quebec?
In Quebec, we produce a lot of web series. I think just in Montreal, they produce like 200 a year, like 200 different shows a year. Like it's very vibrant. There's a lot of production, but there's not that much stuff that is. It's mostly couple stories, you know, breakups, blah blah blah, stuff like that. For the most part, there's a few genre things, but not a lot. It's not really well perceived here. So there's not a lot of competition direct for us for what we do. But I find there's more competition superhero-wise, like worldwide, US, and even in Canada. But a lot of people go more the comedy route because you know it's difficult to do a good superhero show like with action and stuff. We don't take ourselves too seriously either. We didn't go and make it specifically a comedy, but there's a lot of humor in the show, and we're not very self-conscious about it. But so I find that competition comes from outside more than Quebec. And in Quebec, in terms of pop culture, it's pretty much cleaved in two. There's part of the population has more like an European influence, and part of the population, well, that has more an American influence, and they read American comics. There used to be American comics translated in French, but it stopped like almost 20 years ago. So now it's like everybody reads in English, and they all wear the same thing as an English Canadian audience would be.
Is Heroes of the North bilingual right now?
I mean, you know, yeah, like it is bilingual. You can watch it with subtitles on the site. You can just click the little flag there, and you can watch it in French subtitles. I didn't want to do a double shoot because it would be time consuming and full to it. But once we deal with when we deal with the Quebec separatist characters, the New Falkis, they exclusively speak French. So what all the dialogue then is get subtitled when the English version and vice versa.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Even in the comics, actually, when the separatists are in the comics, they speak French, and we translate at the bottom in English.
That's a good angle, actually.
Yeah.
Now, Chris, you've been busy with something new. Would you mind telling us what you've been up to?
Sorry.
Sorry.
That was a bad segue. I sort of got to. But...
I was wondering which one of us you were talking to.
Sorry, Chris. Chris, with your new Leisure Suit Larry thing.
Larry, yes, I made a fan tribute to Leisure Suit Larry that started initially was going to be a 2 or 3 minute highlight reel of classic Larry clips from the games to like the Village People's Macho Man or something like that, or I'm Sexy and I Know It or something like that. Because I made it. The idea spawned from a demotivational poster I made with a picture of Larry with the word "sexy" and in small letters, and he knows it.
Okay.
And from there, it just spiraled into what ended up becoming its own entity altogether. Basically, it's Leisure Suit Larry. If you know the video games, you know the story of Larry. His job is to sometimes stop people from doing things and pick up girls, or try to, usually failing. And here what I did was I created, based on the original timeline, I took footage from some of the games and basically animated my own Leisure Suit Larry game on video and made a video of it with all music. All the music was directly taken from Al Lowe himself on his website from the Leisure Suit Larry games. And basically, yeah, I made an animated video that was a combination of video game and comedy. And it's all video, so you can't play it, but it watches like you're playing the game.
It's like a walkthrough, almost, like of someone playing the game.
More or less, yeah, except I used characters from other video game franchises.
Like Samus?
Samus, Chun-Li from Street Fighter 2, yeah. And, of course, the only Lara Croft. Basically, I wanted to really heighten the humor and make it funny and maybe add some parody to it, so I threw in other characters from other franchises. Like, what would happen if Larry... would he have, like, 1,000 bullets in him, or would he get her, or what? How would that go? You know, things like that. And then from there, I started finding GIFs, and I figured out how to animate them on video. And the result is better than anything I've ever done. I never dared dream it would look as good as it does, because I'm not an animator. I'm not an animation guy, really. I love to draw, but I'm not I never thought I'd have the patience to do the frames and all the other stuff that you need to do. That's crazy, and it was like between 40 and 50 hours of work, and it didn't feel like work until the end, because by then I was just dead tired, but I couldn't stop. Eating was something I had to remind myself to do. You know, okay, I'm going to Subway now. Wait. And then 4 hours later, I'm still going. I'm like, no, I'm going to eat. I'm hungry. And keep on. And
so are you going to do more of these, Chris?
You know what? I might.
Yeah.
It's something that now that I know how to reverse engineer GIFs and sprites, yeah, I'm probably going to do a little bit more of it. It may not be Larry next time. You know, Larry might make a cameo in a future video, but I'll move on to other characters. Like for about a year now, I've been trying to make this as a live action. You know the Call of Duty games?
Yeah.
I was thinking of, there's Call of Duty Black Ops, which is a spin-off franchise of the same Modern Warfare series. I had one idea called Call of Duty Black Friday, where it's housewives in shopping carts shooting at each other, trying to get the $2 toasters, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay. And
do something, like, make fun of the craziness of Black Friday, because my sister lives in Chicago now, and on Black Friday, she bundles up the kids, and they go out at 2 o'clock in the morning and wait until they open the doors, and she's right in the fray with them. So,
wow,
I make something that would be fun. Problem is, I can't get a shopping mall or a blue box store, so I just make a first-person shooter video based on the same kind of animation tricks that I use with Larry. And there's other things, like we could do Mario, you know, or
sure, yeah.
Or Sonic, or, you know, pick a name video game character, and it can be done as a parody.
Wow!
Like, are you guys familiar with the Fine Brothers?
Yeah.
I'm sure you heard at least the controversy about their infamous Twilight 8-bit game.
No,
I haven't heard about it. No.
Basically, it started with Saved by the Bell about 3 years ago. They made a 8-bit Nintendo adventure game based on Saved by the Bell. They had sprites moving around like it was Legend of Zelda, and then they'd have like cutscenes of big full screen shots of the characters in 8-bit fashion. So, like, Zach trying to save Jessie from her caffeine pill addiction, you know, and you have to choose what they do. If you know the episodes, you know the answers, but you want to get it wrong because it's funnier. And it's similar to the adventure games that Sierra used to make, like Leisure Suit Larry and, you know, King's Quest. Space. And the Fines did this on screen because of the annotations on YouTube.
Oh.
they did it for Saved by the Bell, and they also did it for Twilight. And they got shut down by the people who make Twilight, but then the controversy was such because the fans of Twilight loved that so much that they said, okay, no harm, no foul, go ahead, and they put it back on. Or at least there's pieces of it still left. But that's something I've always thought was really cool, because I liked adventure games when I was a kid. So that's another concept I might do, is I might make my own games based on that, except with more parody and more along the lines of existing characters, because my animation talents still aren't great. This is brand new to me, so I'll probably slowly grow from there on that front. Meanwhile, I'm also making a lot more live action stuff. Like I've got my Charlie's Angels parody with characters from all my other projects together in the same show. A little bit of VenusSpa and a little bit of the other stuff going on as they take on vampires. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Excellent, cool. Right on. Now, is there anything you guys want to talk about before we wrap up? Anything going on in the web series world that's interesting?
I haven't heard anything.
Nothing. Like, yeah, the only thing is like that's sort of.
You're coming to Winnipeg, Christian, next month, I believe.
Oh yeah. We're coming for a conference there. Yeah, it's true. It's true. I think Scott Albert, who does Tyson Fight, and another guy from Toronto, Mike Fly, I think. Yeah, we're doing a conference
I heard
about.
he was trying to bring Sexy Nerd Girl too.
Oh, okay, it's possible.
And what's it for? Just a.
It's a conference to, and I'm sure who organizes it. I think it's some film industry.
Turning Manitoba.
Okay.
Okay.
They're
Manitoba.
Okay. They bring us in to talk a web series, and there's supposed to be, I think, some sort of mini conference where we talk with a whole bunch of web series creators for people to explain how to do web series as an entrepreneur and see it with an entrepreneur vision. Yeah.
Oh wow! Are you going to go, Chris?
They're talking to me about possibly being on the panel, so there's a good chance I might end up there anyway. But I'm definitely going to probably drop by and at least check it out. And I know we're going to hang out a bit when you're here, and
for sure.
And
sure.
Talk more. And it should be a lot of fun because I don't get to converse with very many creators out here, so it's always great when they come here.
Cool. No, I'm looking forward to it. And I'm also doing another one in Halifax. I don't know exactly when, but it's also in October. And I started getting those requests recently. It's interesting. So it's fun. It's fun to do.
Yeah, cool.
We have a number of prominent series in Canada. It's just there's not a whole lot. The communication has never been very. It seems to me for all the communication tools we have, the harder it gets sometimes because there just ends up being so many people out there. It's hard to keep in touch with them all.
It's true, but I found that
time together on Skype.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, no, we could. The things I found the Toronto community is pretty tightly knit, and they talk to each other a lot. I mean, like they have a group on Facebook. I think you're a member of it, Chris.
I'm on it, and Jason Lever from Out with Dad is, I believe, one of the administrators. Scott's one of the administrators from Tights and Fights.
Yeah. And I think that's a good group. I mean, there's a lot of they talk about a lot of stuff. Nobody is trying to hide anything. It's pretty open-minded. But that's the most dynamic one I've seen. And when I go to Toronto, whatever, we always try to hook up with those guys, but they're really cool. But it's in Montreal. It's really hard to talk to any creators. Everybody feels like they're in a competition, which I find is funny because it's the World Wide Web. Everybody has a little corner, and that's it. There's no competition with anybody. Right. And I feel, when I was in the indie world, we used to communicate a lot, exchange tips, okay, these buyers are looking for this or that, and we, that's how we managed to actually earn a living doing this. And then I find contributing and helping each other out is the best way to succeed and actually build it as a business. Yeah. A lot of people don't see it that way, unfortunately, but yeah.
Yeah, we're going to find. I think you're going to find that in every business. It's not just us. I think it's something that where I live in what's considered a musical hotspot in Winnipeg, and there's a lot of rivalries between bands because there's only so many clubs to play, only so many local record labels. There's only so many radio stations that can play your music. and only so many that will actually play rock music anymore in Winnipeg is not really. Although there's been a lot more rap music starting to come through Winnipeg, but we're still basically a guitar and drum town more than anything. But there's always going to be that. I think it's just you stick with what you do is you hope to find the good ones, and then you hang on to them. You want to make as many friends as you can, but you can't really. I'd fall into this trap all the time, but you don't dwell on the ones that you can't.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But the thing is, I just find it.
Oh, nice.
I just find it's like if you want to build this space into something that has some significance one day, we have to help each other out, at least at the beginning.
Absolutely.
If it becomes a big business one day and everybody wants to be in their corner, fine. But until we get there, I don't see the point of trying to. I think it's better to share advice and knowledge as much as we can. But that's me,
I think
when
you deal with people, my advice, I guess, to anyone that's watching right now is, it's the ones that return the favor that you remember and that you stick with and keep in touch with. You make the initial contact, and if that person's selfish, or let's say you help them, they ask for your help, and you help them, and they don't give you as much as a thank you. You move to the next one. I think you don't help them a second time.
Yes.
And then the person that does say thank you appreciates what you're doing. Now you got dialogue. Now you can hang out and talk about stuff in general, even if you have no intention of ever doing anything with it. With that knowledge, give and receive, and that's kind of how I look at it now. Is we all need each other, but some are givers, some are takers, some are both, and you want to hope you can find both.
Well, I think I don't think it's necessarily about giving or taking, but in the sense that I think you should give, because it's the way of the internet. You give something for free, and then eventually people feel they repay you one way or the other. They buy something from you, or they help you out, or whatever. I find that's the way business is done on the internet in a certain sense, and I think it's the way to do it even at our level, because it echoes itself in a sense in the real world. Yeah.
That's eventually how you grow.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing that I hope viewers get from these shows is, communicate with people, but always be willing to help as much as you can. Because it's never ask for the world, but ask for something, and hope and be prepared to give something. The thought counts every bit as much as anything else.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. And until the day comes when we're it's I don't know how to put it, but when everything is either big or certain things get big and everybody else is relegated to something else or something as long as we're all relative equals in our space, let's take care of each other as much as we can.
Yeah. No, I think that's the way to go. Yeah. What do you think, Travis? You haven't said anything.
No, hey, I'm just listening to you guys. It's insightful. No, networking obviously is huge. It's just nice to talk to other web series creators and share the troubles you've had and the successes you've had, and it just you don't feel alone. That's part of it. It's but then obviously there's the tips and the tricks you can share with other people, and you're also getting the objective viewpoint of someone else who can maybe, you guys give me tips of, perhaps doing a comic or a toy. It's stuff like that's, it's valuable.
Yeah, no, I think so, and I think, and that's the thing. Like a lot of the shows, like a show such as yours, it lends itself perfectly for developing a merchandising line. And you have a lot of fans, you have a lot of views, so there's people who will want to do a toy, the people who might want the comic, or even more, like as Chris was saying earlier, maybe the sock puppets too. I mean, I think everything goes, it's wide open for you.
Right. No. Okay. Now, so let's wrap it up there. Now, Chris, where can viewers find you and reach you?
We've got the two YouTube channels are the primary ones. YouTube.com/Watch VenusSpa to watch the 3 seasons of VenusSpa and any ongoing videos that we post there. And YouTube.com/SuperFunky2012, which is the home of all our new stuff. Chad's Angels, which will be coming soon, and all the one-offs, including Larry. You want to check out my Leisure Suit Larry video, that's the place to go.
Okay, and Christian, where can viewers get in touch with you?
Well, our videos are pretty much on almost every platform, Blip TV, YouTube, blah, 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 but everything, including the comics, which are viewable, readable for free and stuff, is on www.heroesofthenorth.com, and you can get it, all our info is there, and also at my company website, movieseals.com.
Okay, all right, and you guys can reach me on Twitter at Travis Gordon, and on YouTube, I'm youtube.com/T-Bone Pearson. So thanks for watching, everyone. Now, if you want us to review your web series, subscribe to the show at Webseries Chat on YouTube. And thank you guys so much for being on the show. It was very insightful. Great show.
It was a pleasure to be there. Thank you for inviting me.
Not a problem. Okay.
Great. It was great. Thanks for having me again.
Not a problem. Okay, I'll talk to you guys soon.
Take
All
care.
right.
Okay, bye.